What's good? It's your boy Fanon. All right, man. Welcome back to the channel. Really happy to be able to talk about a couple fight cards over the next couple weeks that are happening between, including two top pound for pound fighters, both fighting against guys that have a chance to win, which is something, we haven't seen in a while this year. Really looking forward to it. But I also want to, and those fights, of course, are Canelo Alvarez versus Daniel Jacobs. And then the following week is Jarrett Hurd, the 154-pound champion. I believe he is the WBC. No, excuse me. He's the IBF and WBA 154-pound champion. Very similar in some ways. And I think also, just besides what's going to happen in the ring, I think that these fights and the way they play out are going to tell us a lot about the state of boxing. So I want to cover that. Before I do, though, I want to welcome you back to the channel, subscribers. If you are not subscribed, I hope that you accept my invitation to subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you can be notified of when we release more videos. And also when we do our live streams in the morning. I really think that you're going to like the live streams that we do Sunday morning, 8 a.m. Central Standard Time, OG Boxing Talk with myself and Blood Boxing, KQKC Boxing, man, where we chop it up about a lot of stuff, whereas old school, decades old boxing fans get to talk, get to dust off the scrapbook and talk about the old school fighters. We talk about the new school fighters. So I hope that you'll attend. Also, for subscribers, young professionals, check out the Patreon that we got going. We got a lot of good things over there for you. So these are my thoughts, man. You got two, in my opinion, top 10 pound for pound fighters. One is Canelo Alvarez and the other one is Jarrett Hurd. Canelo Alvarez is fighting against Daniel Jacobs, and that is a fight that really and truly can go either way. I favor Canelo Alvarez to win that fight because, as most people are familiar with the channel know, I'm a big fan of Canelo Alvarez. I'm a big believer in his skills. I think that he just has so much experience and the ability to adapt to a lot of different styles. I really love his inside game. I love his upper body movement. His lower body movement, lower body footwork, I think is a little bit underrated. But hey, man, I just really think the world of Canelo Alvarez's skill set. But Danny Jacobs, excuse me, I know he likes to be called Daniel Jacobs now. Daniel Jacobs is somebody that has, if there's somebody at 160 pounds that can beat Canelo, it's going to be a guy like Daniel Jacobs. Also, I figure, obviously, well, not obvious for some people, but it's obvious to me that I think Jermall Charlo also has the ability to do that. There's also, the other champions there. Demetrius Andrade is, to really put up a good fight. But I think that Daniel Jacobs in that there's a lot of parity in that 160-pound division. Even though Canelo Alvarez is clearly the big money man in that division, this fight is one of the things where you might actually wind up getting an upset. There's, the difficulty with the upset obviously is, and I believe as a Canelo Alvarez fan, I do believe that I'm not going to claim conspiracy here, but I am going to say that, having watched Canelo Alvarez for a very long time, having watched the Austin Trout fight, watched the Eris Landy, Lara fight, watching the Floyd Mayweather Jr. fight where Canelo Alvarez managed to get, I think he got a draw on one of the cards if he didn't actually get the decision on one of the cards. When I thought Canelo, lost but maybe 1-2 rounds to Floyd Mayweather. There's obviously something about Canelo Alvarez that attracts the eyes of the judges. So, if it wasn't for that, if he wasn't the cash cow type of guy, I would say, man, it would be, hey, man, it'd be a pick 'em fight. But I got to give the edge to Canelo Alvarez from that reason. If I'm a betting man, when I'm betting and predicting fights, I take politics into consideration. But for the casual, for the fight fan that's going to watch it, that's going to be a great fight, man. That's really, and that's one of the reasons that I really like Canelo Alvarez, that he's always willing to step up and take tough competition. Likewise, in the weight class below, you have Jarrett Hurd fighting J-Rock, Julian Williams out of Philadelphia. And Julian Williams, man, is a heck of a fighter, man. I know he's got that one knockout loss on his record, similar to like the way that Jermell Charlo did Lubin. Jermall Charlo, I do believe, was the Charlo brother that sparked out Julian Williams at 154 pounds. But, hey, man, that's Jermall Charlo. That dude was a really big, very strong 154 pounder. I think Jermall Charlo might wind up eventually being able to get to 168 pounds. So I still got a lot of respect for, the grit of J-Rock, the ability of J-Rock. And I think that's going to be a fantastic fight as well. And there's a legitimate chance for an upset for J-Rock upsetting Jarrett Hurd. So that's why I'm saying those two fights, those weekends in a row, we're gonna have an opportunity to see, to be on the edge of our seats, which is something that we really didn't get. We really haven't gotten in a little while. I don't think that was the case with going into the Errol Spence Jr. Mikey Garcia fight. That was a big fight that happened. I think it was March 16th. Pretty much. There was a lot of excitement. There was a lot of talk back and forth, but most of the observers, most people, figured that Errol Spence Jr. was going to win that fight. And then we actually got into the fight. He beat him. He beat him pillar to post, man. Beat him pillar to post. Same thing with the Terrence Crawford Amir Khan fight. It was just a fight that we knew what the outcome was going to be before it. Most people really thought they knew what the outcome of the fight was going to be before we went in. I personally had picked a 10th round knockout because I figured that Amir Khan could stay away long enough not to get hit. But hey, man, just, like clockwork, first time he got touched, Terrence Crawford put him on the deck, wind up, with the controversial not a controversial win, because the win wasn't controversial. Terrence Crawford was going to win that. Just kind of maybe a disappointing end, for the more sadistic of us that want to see, the guy actually knocked out. You don't want to see him hit with a hip shot and then have him not continue and walk off, right? So there was a little bit of we knew what was going to happen in that fight. Same thing. There's some really good fights last week. I guess the closest thing to a close fight last week was Kylie Relic versus Regis Prograis. Regis Prograis was the favorite in that fight, and he handled his business, man. Beat up on Kylie Relic, got him out of there. We knew there was a fight in Zolani Tite versus Nonito Donaire for the 118 pound championship, the bantamweight championship. Can't remember which belt, maybe even the WBA, and I won't guess. I don't remember which belts that Zolani Tite and Nonito Donaire had at 118 pounds, but it was a unification fight at 118 pounds, and that would have been a good fight. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, Zolani Tete, I think I said Tite before, but I believe it's pronounced Tete. Tete had to pull out, so hey, man, we didn't get to see that. But this weekend, this weekend and next weekend, we're really going to be able to see I think we're going to be able to have the type of fight where you sit on the edge of your seat and wonder what's going to happen, man. I'll do breakdowns for the fight and my opinion about who's going to win and why in a more detailed fashion later on this week for Canelo and Danny Jacobs, and then next week for Jarrett Hurd and J-Rock. But one thing that I think is going to be very interesting in this, though, is the networks that are going to be competing back to back, similar to the pay-per-view somewhat pay-per-view viewership competition that took place between Fox pay-per-view with the Errol Spence Jr. and Mikey Garcia fight and the ESPN pay-per-view fight with Terrence Crawford and Amir Khan. You have a battle of a free network, right? You have Jarrett Hurd. Jarrett Hurd is clearly not as popular a fighter as Canelo Alvarez, as well known as Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez, up until now, with the pay-per-view, and when he was if he had been fighting on Showtime or another network that you get with your basic subscription package, probably would be the most viewed boxer in American boxing right now. But That's not the case for this one. The case in this particular situation, he's going to be fighting on Dazn, which does not have, which I was told is expected to have a total of 1.5 million subscribers by the end of 2019. So suffice it to say, at this point in time, they do not have 1.5 million subscribers, which, is might be 75 million less than Fox. It's very small viewership. So he's going to be a very big fish in a very small pond. And there's not going to be nearly as many eyes. I don't believe that there's going to be as many eyes on Canelo and Daniel Jacobs for this fight as they're going to be on Jarrett Hurd and Julian Williams on Fox. I do not believe that as a result of, the relative popularity between the fighters. It's just the network. And so we're going to see, like, people talk a lot about how pay-per-view is especially with Dazn, because if you go to Dazn, if you sign up for Dazn, you'll see that one of the mottos that Dazn has is that it is that it's not pay-per-view, that it's an alternative to pay-per-view. I can't remember what the exact phrasing that they use for that was, but it's, you get good boxing, but you don't have the trouble of having to pay extra money for pay-per-view, right? So you're going to get to see Anthony Joshua versus Luis Ortiz versus Andy Ruiz, and it's not going to be pay-per-view. That one would be in a pay-per-view in the United States regardless. But Daniel Jacobs versus Canelo Alvarez more than likely would have been a pay-per-view fight, especially if it's going to be on HBO, because that's what Canelo does. So you are, in that particular instance, getting, a pay-per-view quality fight on Dazn. But at the end, the eyes that are going to be on it, there's going to be more eyes, I do believe, safe to assume, more eyes are going to be on J-Rock and Jarrett Hurd than there's going to be on Canelo and Daniel Jacobs, just because of the networks that they're fighting on. So I just find that real interesting, man, as far as what that means for the sport of boxing. What really is better for the sport of boxing? Is it better for a very, very good fighter, a very popular fighter like Canelo Alvarez to earn more individual money? Because he's getting a boatload of money for fighting over there on Dazn. Or would it have been better for the sport of boxing to have him on Fox and do a Fox pay-per-view, right? Individual people would have had to pay, but there also probably would have been, I suspect, 900,000, maybe 1 million people would have watched it. It's on that weekend, I suspect that it would have been somewhere around 1 million pay-per-views for Daniel Jacobs, and maybe a little less because the Gennady Golovkin stuff, might have had a little bit extra to that. But yeah, let's say 800, 900,000 pay-per-views for Daniel Jacobs versus Canelo Alvarez. It could have been a little less, little more, but so the question is, for me, my personal opinion is that I think that the fight I'm going to be paying for Canelo Alvarez I'm going to watch it on Dazn. I ain't got to pay for it. I'm going to watch it on Dazn. I'm going to get, because I had to get it last week because I wanted to watch Regis Prograis, and I really do believe in supporting the fighters that I like and that I want to do well. And honestly, man, I don't mind continuing it because I support Canelo Alvarez. I support Daniel Jacobs. I always buy Canelo fights, man. I think he's an excellent fighter, man. I think he's one of the best of his generation, clearly. So I'll support that. But I'm also very, very happy that I got the alternative to watch the next week to be able to watch for less money because, Fox isn't even $10 a month. It just comes with my basic package. Jarrett Hurd and J-Rock. So it's going to be exciting, man. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to do my breakdowns, later on in the week about who I think wins. But all in all, man, I think both of these things over the next couple of weeks are really good for boxing. I'm excited about them. More than likely, I'm going to have live stream discussions of the fight on the channel. So I hope you'll join me. Let me know what you think in the comment section. With that, I'm out. Peace.